It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 16 of the Redirect Podcast. It is Friday, September 22nd, 2017 of recording. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing, and welcome once again by Patrick and Ashley from the Black Truck team. Welcome to the end of another week, and it is not fall-like weather, but it's the first day of fall, but it's like 90 degrees here in Michigan, which is unseasonably warm.
Hot.
It's a dry heat too.
It is. I don't know. It's pretty. It's pretty humid out.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, Pat, you were going to go ahead and take lead off this week on reads and helpful tips.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to poach something from Ashley. I hope not. I hope I'm not stealing something from you because this is up your alley.
Okay.
5 easy to miss SEO mistakes blogs make.
Oh, you went the content route.
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
I did. I know I usually don't go this way, but I saw it. It caught my attention. It's on Search Engine Land. It was published on the 18th by Christopher Jones. It's a little bit different route. More of like maybe a refresher for our office, but it's also good stuff to discuss. It's kind of no-brainer stuff, but it was a good, long, detailed article, and it really kind of lays things out there. The stuff that we here in the office maybe do and don't think about it. This is somebody that actually
general
thought about
practice
it
type
and
things.
put it down. Yeah. First point of the 5 is unoptimized keyword structure, or say the first mistakes. So it's highlighting the mistakes.
Okay.
Unoptimized keyword structure. The snippet I took out of there was if our content is simply covering topics and not keywords, how do we know what users really demand? So we always preach here to keep it consistent and keep the site and blog topics kind of all on the same point, in the same topic. But those topics...
Thematic.
Yeah. So the topic still has to contain keywords, and those keywords still have to be on point. Without that keyword research, are we really truly finding the audience that we need? And the research still needs to be done no matter how thematic you are across the board. Second point, inconsistent internal links. Good points from internal links. It can establish a path for users to navigate to the best parts of your site or what you're maybe touting, even if the article isn't a direct advertisement for it. This was a good point. It opens up crawling and deep linked web pages to increase crawl rate. So it tells search engines that this is the route to the important stuff, and this important stuff is easy to get to, and it'll help you crawl it more efficiently. It defines site architecture for your most important sites, kind of goes along with the crawl. Distributes link juice that we like to use, the phrase link juice. And indexes linked to web pages by the keywords used in the hyperlink anchor text.
Which we know is a safe play to do on page, in site, but that's something that is more of a no-no from an off-site true outreach link building. What would be what most people think is link building, where in this case we're talking about using keywords and anchor text on site.
That was my big takeaway out of that was anchor text. I know that when I've written for our company blog, I will link out to other pages using irrelevant words as my anchor text. It felt like click here to do this. Like I wrote this article last month revolving around this subject, and I'll hyperlink last month.
So that brings up a really good point, Pat. Not to go down a side tangent, but think about that when for us in the SEO space, and we're writing, what we believe to be is thought leadership type posts and helpful content, then when we do link out to a study, it's a lot of times very easy for people to say, well, in this 2016 study from Google, or in this, keyword research study from Stat, and you just link keyword research study without even thinking about it because it looks the best when semantically it's not proper from a structure perspective in anchor text. Technically, are we helping that company or not? Well, I mean, they're getting a link, but, should we have linked stat? Probably should have linked the article to stat in their name. I mean, as SEOs, that's probably common practice that we should do. And quite frankly, internet marketers, you should do that too.
Yeah.
So it's a good policy in general. If you're going to link to somebody else's content, do them a favor, like do them a solid.
Yeah.
Link the brand to their site. And so link the brand to their article. Internal linking, though, back to your original point on this, totally can...
Yeah, it's a practice what you preach. Yeah. Then the next item on here was poor page copy, and that's kind of Ashley's corner on that one. It ended with edit fiercely, and that's kind of I giggled when I read that because that's what somebody on our team does. The biggest takeaway I had on this one was leverage your headline, get the most out of that headline, really have a great first paragraph, and then have a good segue in the second paragraph. What I thought was kind of funny too in this one is always insert clear transition phrases and consider using animated GIFs and videos to give users mental break between long chunks of paragraphs. And it's just funny how it went from memes were so unprofessional and GIFs were unprofessional, whatever, to now it's like, make sure you incorporate these in your business posts. It was just an interesting circle. Next one down was unoptimized images and videos. I think we've kind of beaten that one with dead horse. It's make sure you have alt text. Make sure the images are properly formatted. Get that part right. It's a no-brainer. Lastly, poor content promotion. This sounds more simple than it is, but this one was the depth. This was the longest section in the article. Phrase I took out of there: what if, after writing his theory of relativity, Einstein had simply posted his theory on his front door and waited for someone to discover it? And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're writing these amazing articles with amazing educated thought processes and really next level stuff, and then just posting it and waiting for something to happen.
It's where the deep web started, right?
And if you don't do anything with it, then what? It gave a nice list of best practices and ways to do that, and it's from. I'm not going to get too deep into it because that could be a whole series of podcasts and blog posts about all those different points. But what it comes down to is share your stuff. If you write it, share it. Don't just hope people will find it, because in order for people to find it, it has to be shared first, and then it starts gaining authority. And then I gave a list of good types of articles, like how-tos, infographics. A new word that I learned through this is called listicle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just learned that's a combination of a list article. And it was an interesting word.
Top 10 reasons to blah-de-blah-de-blah.
Yeah. Listicles.
Haven't we burned that one out by now? Yeah. I think it's interesting too. The distribution side of your content is extremely important in that. But then going back to maybe the original why question of like, well, why are we creating content? So if you're back to their original point, as I have to pull the article up to better understand, if I'm writing poor page copy because, well, we're doing content marketing, air quotes, weird hand gestures, of like, because that's what HubSpot tells us to do. But it's not really great quality content. It's not content that's really answering the question or providing me in-depth detail. Like I have to go to like 3 or 4 other sources to get the full answer when you could have provided them with that. I just think that you have to ask the question of like, okay, well, who else can use this content in our organization? Like, I think there's so many B2B marketers still that can't get their head wrapped around the fact that you can use blog posts, resources, news, call it whatever you want. If blog scares you, use that content to help support your sales staff. So whether it's outreach, inbound marketing, SEO, follow-up, like closing the loop, post-purchase, pre-purchase, all of that, there's really great content there. Instead of like anything that you're doing as a printed handout now, why are you not producing some sort of piece of content around that, but then take these really good, what I think to your original point, Pat, might be really basic items, apply that to those. I mean, you got some really get some really good content, then maybe at a local level, you're going to be extremely effective. So.
Oh, that's a great segue into what I wanted to share.
All
today.
right, shoot.
All right. Sorry, were you done, Pat?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Let's hope so.
Well, the article that I am sharing today is from Search Engine Watch. It's called How to Create a Kick-Ass Link Building Strategy for Local SEO. And it summarized Greg Gifford's recent presentation at Brighton SEO.
Oh, yeah. Greg's from Dealeron down in Texas, and Greg's is probably one of the, he's probably one of the forethought leaders, foremost, however you want to say that.
Foremost.
Yeah. Sorry, Greg. And has a pretty killer beard too. So, yeah.
So his presentation was titled "Righteous Tips for Building Totally Excellent Local Links," and the whole presentation was slides had the references to 80s movies and stuff like that. So that sounds like fun.
That already grabbed your attention.
Yeah, I know. Like, okay. I'll pay attention. So he talked about the importance of inbound links for local SEO, even if they're links that are from like an unrelated source to what your particular business or organization is about, because it's that we talk about having link variety with inbound links, and it depends just as much as having relevant links as far as being in your industry. It's also being from different geographies, having some variety there. That so the local part of it is building connections within the community. He talked about creating local relationships, not so much going for that link right away, obviously, because that can be icky, but he gave some great tips for building those relationships, like things that you might already be doing, like groups or charities that you support, teams or events you sponsor, connections with the local press, business associations. We talk about those here a lot. So building authentic relationships, and then that can bring you to a place where eventually you can present a case for how you can offer value for the audience that these places have. So it just made me think too. I have a background in public relations, so it just made me think. If your business or organization has a public relations department, help them identify any other local opportunities, any groups that they aren't currently connected with, and see about how you might be able to establish links with those publics, and then any established relationships. Oops. I just said that. But if you don't have a PR department that you're working with, then that kind of becomes something that like the SEO will do.
Sure.
Is seeking out those connections and again, not asking for a link because that's icky, but building those relationships first and proving that you do have value to give those audiences. If that makes sense.
No, I think it makes complete sense. I'd be curious. I'm staring over my screen at Patrick as we'll call Patrick a former link builder or a reformed link builder from back in the day though. So
I come with link building.
Yeah. In a lot of not so great practices, but the interesting part about it is that I think it is really important depending on your line of business, and most businesses of size can take a lot of good from that, probably that presentation and what you're talking about is that if you're not doing anything in your community, whether you do business locally or nationally, like you're never going to get notoriety for that anyways. So you might as well participate in your community anyways and do things to support your community, and then naturally good things will come from that, i.e. links.
Right.
So
I like the comment too, actually, about geographically.
Yeah.
Different pockets,
Yeah.
If crawlers are seeing links all coming from.
So
yeah, I was curious to know more about that too.
And that wasn't. That's a little bit out of my wheelhouse,
Okay.
so I don't want to get too deep into that.
Okay.
But I may have misspoken earlier, but I know that when we are analyzing our clients' websites for external links, and there's the factor in the Moz
comparison.
Help me out.
The Open Site Explorer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It talks about
Linking C blocks.
linking C blocks. Yes, thank you. That's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. So I you don't want links coming in from random sites from like India, China, whatever, that
Right.
sort of thing.
Sure. Unless you're in India or China.
Right,
or doing
exactly.
business in India or
Exactly,
China, right?
like an international business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, so it's a good, like if let's say a business that could be happening anywhere, but all the links are coming in from one geographic
Right,
location.
they're-
So we're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Let's say I sell a product that I ship nationwide, but all of our links are coming from West Michigan and the greater Michigan area.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, maybe we start finding a good market in Colorado somewhere, or the PNW. You know, it's we get those regions talking and sharing and posting. That looks more authoritative as well in the linking structure of things.
Yeah, but if you are truly looking to dominate at the local level
Yeah.
for your services or for your company, maybe I'm a local chimney sweep. We don't have a chimney sweeper as a client, so but maybe you are trying to increase your relevancy and your rank locally. Certainly having diversity within the community, meaning if we do focus on Grand Rapids or Detroit, it's okay to have links on other sites, not just like your local Chamber of Commerce,
Right.
or your local Chimney Sweep Unions Association or something like that.
Right.
It's okay to get that link from maybe a library or a local university that you've spoke at, or it's a trade school that you've spoke at,
Right.
or that you're a valued resource to them. That I want to make sure we clarify that from the diversity and link, meaning they're still geographically related and relevant to one another, but they're not similar in interest from an industry
Right.
perspective. They're not all chimney sweep
Right.
in this case. They're going to be slightly different.
Linking C blocks is kind of confusing or multifaceted in that ever you have regional locations and you also have industries within said region. So it's multifaceted on that one.
Oh, that's really good.
It went a different direction than I was expecting it to.
Where did you expect it to go? Where did you think we were going to go with that?
Well, I made the mistake of talking about the variety and locations, which wasn't really part of like
It worked.
the overall thing.
That's
but
great.
it was a good discussion. I was actually gonna talk about a resource that was shared. Brittany Muller shared prioritizing SEO tasks, and one of the things that she just linked to in that article was a list of questions that she asks every new client, which involves any content they currently have that might be link worthy, any previous or current PR work, websites or publications they'd like to be featured in. And I just thought that those were some good forward-thinking questions that would inform, link building, content creation, outreach efforts. And so it just made me think of, tie in back to Greg's presentation that, pulling out any of those relationships that they already have, and then any that they could think of that you could work on building. So
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Go and conquer local. Local's really important, and I think as we're making notes about future content pieces for our site as well as podcasts, I think we could do a whole discussion and theme around local SEO. So, and maybe we can get Greg on. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. Is that cool? In terms of closing piece, big thing. So I've been studying a lot more and more as we have clients that are going through this transition, and I'm just purely fascinated by it too. Is more discussion around HTTPS, so going to secure layers, if you will, secure site. We know that Google Chrome will start to flag things sometime in October. Who knows? Maybe it will be in November or December, but sometime in October they're leaking. So another conversation that came out of Brighton SEO, which was from Jennifer Slegg at the SEM Post, who moderated a discussion between Google's Gary Illies. This was just last week, 2 weeks ago there. And the questions really come up around, how long can it take for things to kind of stabilize after you make the migration from HTTP to HTTPS, and then some other things that we really need to know about and some important things in there. And I thought it was really fascinating that kind of Gary came out on the record, if you will. The biggies are that Google's basically said that migrating to an HTTPS can take up to 3 to 4 weeks for everything to stabilize. But you have to keep in mind, like, why aren't those things happening faster is because depending on the size of your site and the different elements and movements, the things that are changing in your site at that time, Google has to re-index the entire thing. So if we're talking about a 100-page site, a 50-page site, or a 3,000-page site, there's a lot of moving pieces in there and they have to go through. It is known that Google's getting faster in that process of re-indexing and seeing things level out, and people are seeing some good things come out of it. But Illies went on to explain that Google, they're working on stabilizing a few things. There's a few more factors that go into that HTTPS process. But that if your rankings don't stabilize inside of, say, that time period, that there could be deeper issues that you need to go ahead and combat and figure out. But the real key to all this as to whether or not people pick that up out of the conversation, and then Jennifer wrote a great blog post about it that we'll link to, is that Illies encouraged people to not make other major, like, structural design big changes at time of HTTPS migration. So basically stating that if you are going to migrate to an HTTPS, that is one project, if you will, that is one sprint, is how I'm framing this, that you need to do. Once that's done and things have stabilized, then go ahead and move forward with your other changes you were going to make. So if you're going to move forward with a massive website redesign, basically from Gary's point of view, he's saying, maybe you want to do the HTTPS migration first and then do your complete redesign. Or I think probably vice versa. You could probably get away with both. So it's kind of I think twofold the reason why he's saying that, but the biggest one is, it's going to be easier to debug any issue that comes up because there's going to be issues that will probably arise from the HTTPS migration. But if you make those other major changes, you can be going down too many paths to try and correct that problem, and just get in this continuous vicious loop of problem correction.
Yeah.
Never know where to prioritize. Back to the Brittany Muller article that was great this week. You're going to send your whole SEO team and your dev team just into a spiral out of control, not being able to handle and facilitate the needs that are coming. Meanwhile, you have all this other content that needs to be created, and your marketing and like DevOps teams are probably, your product people are probably pushing for new things, and so it's really just a really, really good reminder, I think, that that's not something that should be taken lightly, right? The migration to HTTPS is not something to be taken lightly. And we've experienced it with clients. We'll experience it ourselves when we launch our new site. We are going about it, yes, perhaps the wrong way that Gary has outlined here. I'm okay with that, though. Like, going into it, I'm for the most part, I'm okay with that. Maybe we'll take some advice here and migrate to HTTPS first, but we'll see. It's interesting.
Do the little things too. I'm working on a site right now that has both HTTP and and S active, and there's twice as many HTTP pages as there are HTTPS. So.
And we just talked to a contact of ours who runs a pretty major sites, a major brand, and they are going through a migration too, where half of the site is, as you pointed out, HTTP, the other half is HTTPS, and at the same time they're switching CMS frameworks. So talk about a massive amount of confusion that can happen both on the back end, from IT and development side, to front end confusion.
And it's a product heavy site, too.
Product heavy site for sure. So it could get really interesting. So mapping things out would certainly mapping the process out is definitely needed. Documenting what you have currently in place. What does that look like moving to an HTTPS? Making sure that all things live in that environment. So it's not just your general file structure. Make sure your images are over there too. Make sure your site maps are referencing things properly. Make sure that you set up the other rendition, the other segment of Search Console or Google Webmaster Tools. You can't just go in and expect everything to be just fine. So
it's a whole separate site.
It's a whole separate site. Yep, and that's how Google's going to view it. So certainly you can get into some rocky times with that. So I don't know. Always ending on a somber note. Sorry, but so it's a really great article. She makes a good point. It's a quick read, and you can glean some insights from it, and hopefully the suggestions that we've made today have been helpful. So, anybody else have anything to add?
No.
Check out the latest blog posts that we have up live right now, blacktruckmedia.com/blog. That is the one that we mentioned in the last podcast, going in depth and kind of geeky on search query data centered around natural disasters, hurricane related, very topical. So check that one out. It's pretty interesting to see how individual search behaviors change between major storms. So until the next time, good luck, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.